Hey, what's up, guys? It's Steve. There's a lot of rumors going on that the New York Knicks are trying to trade for Chris Bosh. A lot of top of the tier, magazine companies, basketball companies, whatever it is, all are saying that there's rumors going on that Chris Bosh is going to be traded to New York, and New York is trying to trade for him. Now, I would be so happy to get Chris Bosh. The same way I said I would be so happy to get Chris Paul. However, this current situation we're in now is we have Carmelo Anthony, who's a lot of money. Kristaps Porzingis, I don't want to lose him. The only two players that I think they could even trade are Kristaps Porzingis, Courtney Lee, and Derrick Rose. Only a few players. So, there's three actually, I can't count. But, so if we're going to get Chris Bosh just to lose KP, and then in the offseason we get Chris Paul. So that's Chris Paul, Chris Bosh, and Melo. Now that's definitely a championship team, but the thing is, we're not going to have any role players. And don't get me wrong with this. The same scenario was with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh in Miami. But Carmelo is not as good as LeBron. Carmelo is an amazing talent, but he doesn't make his teammates better like LeBron does. Now, Chris Paul is dominant as well, but he's no LeBron James. And Chris Bosh, again, is dominant as well, but he's no LeBron James. The reason why Miami won the championship is because of LeBron James. Obviously, had help from CB and from D. Wade, but they really didn't have role players. They had Mario Chalmers, they had Birdman, they had Ray Allen, Norris Cole. Some years they had Shane Battier, Rashard Lewis. If you think about it, those aren't top tier role players for that time. Maybe back in 2006 they were top tier role players, except for Chalmers and Norris Cole. They were top tier role players, but 2013 they weren't top tier. Shane Battier was old, Ray Allen was old, Rashard Lewis was old. Ray Allen wasn't a role player, but you understand my point. And if that does happen, I'm worried that Melo's not going to have enough in him to carry the Knicks like LeBron carried Miami. Don't get me wrong, Melo's going to average 28, probably even more in the finals. All right, if that does happen. But the thing is, he's not LeBron. He can't average 37 and 7. He'll probably average 28, 8 and 3 or 8 and 4. And, that's what really worries me. Now, I know you can say, oh, well, we have Chris Paul and Chris Bosh and Melo. Yeah, but if you think about it, look at the role players that the Warriors have. Look at the role players that LeBron James has and Kyrie Irving has and that Kevin Love has. They have top-tier role players. They have J.R. Smith. They have Amon Shumpert, a great wing defender. Channing Frye, he can shoot the basketball, spread the floor, good for a 7-footer. Richard Jefferson, a great defender, even at this old age, can still explode to the basket. And then if you look at the Golden State Warriors, they have top-tier role players as well. JaVale McGee, don't get me wrong. JaVale McGee, when he plays good, he's a pretty solid role player. He had his weird moments when he ran to the other side of the court when they still had possession with John Wall. It was weird. But, if you look at those teams and then compare that to the Knicks, if we get Chris Bosh and Chris Paul, we're going to lose a whole bunch of role players. We're probably going to lose Courtney Lee. We're probably going to lose Kristaps Porzingis. There's no way we can keep Porzingis, Melo, Chris Paul, and Chris Bosh. There's no way in hell that's going to happen. So, again, it's possible to trade KP for Chris Bosh. And, we're obviously going to lose a lot more pieces. But, I don't know, man. I love Chris Bosh to death, but I think he should stay in Miami. It's possible he could win another championship in New York. But the thing is, Melo has a really good team right now in terms of role players and all fitting together. So I don't want that to all slip away just because we can get Chris Bosh. Because if we do get Chris Bosh, then what? What if we don't get Melo? What if we don't get Chris Paul in next year's free agency? In 2017. So then we're really effed, because then it's just gonna be Melo and Chris Bosh, and they're both scorers pretty much. Chris Bosh is a good defender as well, but pretty much they're scorers. And Chris Bosh, being a big man, he's so limited on how he can make his teammates better. That's why being a 3 spot is the ideal position if you want to be like a LeBron type player where you can make your teammates better and impact the game on all levels. Because when you're a point guard and when you're a big man, it's very limited to what you can do. But yeah, so those are just rumors I've been hearing about Chris Bosh going to the New York Knicks. Would I like it? Yeah, but the same thing with Chris Paul. If we're going to lose a whole bunch of role players, it's really not worth it, to be honest. Because Chris Paul, Chris Bosh, and Carmelo Anthony, all NBA superstars, but they're not as good as LeBron is And that's why Miami Heat won those 2 championships, because they didn't have good role players, but LeBron was just playing so top of the notch. And Chris Bosh, he underperformed some years. D Wade underperformed some years, and then other years he played dominant. But you guys get my point. Like, even if Chris Paul, Bosh, and Melo all play well together, and let's say they make it to the finals, they all dominate. Let's say Melo averages 28, 8, and 3. Chris Bosh averages 20 and 9, and Chris Paul averages 18 and 10. So let's say that happens. Even with no role players, I don't see us winning because, again, we don't have LeBron. And I'm not trying to deride LeBron, but that's the honest truth, because if you think about how good LeBron James is, let's talk about how good he is for a second. He can control the tempo. He can take over. First of all, he can impact the game on every level possible. He can score the basketball. He can play lockdown defense. Now, there are times where he does get lazy and lackadaisical on the defensive end, especially during the regular season, but in the playoffs, he steps it up. He can just cruise through the regular season, and then once the playoffs come, what does he call it? 0-9 something? I don't know. But once the playoffs come, it's a wrap, And, just defense, making his teammates better, his passing ability. Literally, he's like Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, Elgin Baylor, all combined in one. It's crazy. So, in terms of that, I don't know, man. If it does happen, I'll be happy to get Chris Bosh, and then hopefully having Chris Bosh and Melo on the same team will attract Chris Paul in the free agency in 2017. However, I don't see it happening, honestly, because think about it. We have something good here. So if you think about it this way, we have something good right now. Derrick Rose, Courtney Lee, KP, Melo, our superstar, Joakim Noah, Brandon Jennings, and other role players. Now, let's say it doesn't work out with Carmelo and he never wins an NBA championship. So 6 years down the line, Carmelo Anthony retires. No NBA championship. The New York Knicks still haven't won an NBA championship since the 70s. We still have Kristaps Porzingis, who by then will be most likely towards the peak of his prime. So, if we get Chris Bosh, Chris Paul, and Melo, and that doesn't work, 4 years from then, most of them are going to be retired. Probably all 3 of them are going to be retired. Melo, Chris Paul, and Chris Bosh are all going to be retired 4, 5, 6 years from now, right? So, if we lose them, it's a whole nother rebuilding process. But if we keep Carmelo, if we keep Courtney Lee, if we keep Brandon Jennings and Derrick Rose and KP and Joakim Noah, Lance Thomas and all these other role players, and we just use the roster we have now and say, Melo, give us the best that you have. It's all right if we win. It's all right if we lose. Just give it. Oh my gosh, I can't even talk. Just give it all. Oh my goodness, just give us your all. I can't even. What the hell, man? Just give us your all, and just show us what you got. If that happened. Think about it. Even if we don't win, we still have Kristaps Porzingis to build on if Melo's gone. And by then, a lot of our role players will be gone, like Courtney Lee, Brandon Jennings, Derrick Rose probably will be retired. So by then, we'll have other key role players that will be supporting post-prime Melo 4 years from now with prime Kristaps Porzingis. So that way, we still have something to work with, even if Melo doesn't lead us to the promised land. You see what I'm saying? I think long-term in terms of basketball. I don't think short-term. Like, think about this. Like, short-term would be like, okay, trade KP for Chris Bosh. Let's get Chris Paul as free agency. Let's see what Chris Bosh and Melo can do, first of all. Let's get Chris Paul in this free agency. Get rid of Derrick Rose. And let's use these three superstars, the new NBA super team, and see what we can do. That's short term, because think about it. Again, Chris Paul, it will be done in 4 or 5 years. Chris Bosh will be done in 4 or 5 years. Hell, there's no guarantee he'll even play now because of the blood clots. Carmelo Anthony will be done in 4, 5, 6 years, something like that. So all these players will be done in 4 or 5 years. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me to go after them, and it would just be extremely, extremely silly to trade Kristaps Porzingis, because I'm not trying to be a D-rider, but Kristaps Porzingis has a bright future. The dude only played, 28 minutes per game, and he averaged 14 and 7 with limited touches and limited usage. So imagine if first of all, I blame Derek Fisher for that. He was a terrible coach. But anyway, if we get other, another coach, let's say we have the coach that we have now, and he why can't I talk right now? And he uses Kristaps Porzingis more. Let's say 25% of the plays ran are for Kristaps Porzingis and 35% are for Carmelo Anthony, right? Kristaps Porzingis gets more minutes as well. Let's say he gets 35, 36, 37, 38 minutes, around there, 38 minutes. That dude is going to average 20 and 10 next year if he gets those amount of usage rating and the amount of minutes. If he gets those amount of minutes, he's going to average 20 and 10 easily. You know, so that's the way I think about it, man. It's all Derek Fisher's fault, in my opinion. We definitely could have made the playoffs last year, no doubt about it. It's not really Derek Fisher's fault because the coach, you know, it's hard, but here's the thing. We went 0-10 without Carmelo Anthony. So that says a lot, you know, and, you know, you have to blame the coach for that as well. You can't just blame players for that. But anyway, I'm out of here. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's been Steve. Peace.